I don't know how to get. Oh.
Hey.
David, are you not seeing everybody?
No, I wanted to send Kathy the link, and I don't know how to get back to it.
Go down to the picture of the Zoom icon on your lower right-hand screen. Hi, Rita.
There isn't. Oh, lower right-hand screen.
Miss you.
Okay. Well, there you are. Okay.
You guys.
Hi, Rita.
Are you in Crestwood, Rita?
Yay.
Rodney,
How's the old hood?
Rodney, do you still live nearby? You're on mute.
I'm sorry, can you say that one more time?
Do you still live on Varnum or Upshur?
Yeah, right on Upshur.
Well, come over one day masked and we'll sit on my front porch.
Okay, I'll do that.
You know where I am.
It's the best host in the world.
What?
You're the best host.
Oh.
You're a good host for sure.
Well, lately it's just sitting on the porch, distance with my husband.
Yeah. Yeah.
At least we've got the porch.
At least we have a porch.
Yeah.
How are things going, Rita?
It's a little nuts. I mean, it's fine. As I always say, we're hanging in there.
Yeah.
Miss my daughter and grandkids immensely.
Oof. Yeah.
How's Bliss?
He's doing okay. He's had some health issues, and so we've done lots of doctor's appointments and tests. And the good thing is they've ruled out all sorts of very serious stuff.
That's good.
Yeah, it is good.
Upside.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's, a little stressful, but
Yeah.
we're
David,
hanging in
eat your
there.
burger while it's hot.
Pardon me?
Eat your burger while it's hot.
Well, I'm going to be introducing, so I don't want to be.
Chewing.
I figured I'd wait till.
Yeah, I closed on my
I'm just sipping wine. I'll eat later.
I missed lunch, so I couldn't wait.
Yeah.
Rita, I closed on my house.
Woo!
As
That's
per our
big news.
conversation last week.
Carolyn
It's
is
exciting. Send me
a
pictures.
homeowner.
It's so pretty.
She's in the house right now.
You are?
No.
No.
Mhm.
You are?
No internet there. When COVID's done, you all have to come visit me.
I like Pittsburgh. I'll do it.
It's
Yeah,
so
it's all right.
fun. Here is
Yes, sir.
Tanita.
I was gonna say I'm right here, so I'm not that far from you. Pittsburgh can definitely be done. I've been waiting to get to Philly too, so that's that's right on the way, or
Yeah.
vice versa. That's super familiar with
7 hours.
Pennsylvania, to be honest.
Hi, Tanita. Welcome to the call.
Hey.
I didn't realize my name said that.
Yep. Yeah, we do deep research on everybody who responds. So.
You go by Tanita.
No, that's just like a
Oh,
name. Yeah, I usually use this call like Zoom for something else, and that's what those friends call me. So
Smooth.
what would you like us to call you?
just Tina.
Tina. All right.
Good.
There we go. So I think we'll wait a few minutes to get started, just to give us give other people a chance to get on the call.
Totes.
We're all just catching up.
Looking forward to this. Rodney did a presentation at one of the Thursday night dinners at
At International.
yeah.
Yep.
And it was really good.
I appreciate that.
I want more.
Thank you. I really do.
More.
Rodney, you know who's living with us this summer?
Who?
Autumn.
Oh yeah, y'all did tell me that. How's that been going?
Great.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I forgot all about that.
It's been here
How long is it?
2 months, almost 2 months already.
Wow.
It's
That's
crazy.
beautiful. I know the exchange, man. I know the energy's probably been crazy.
Been really
'Cause I
good.
know-
We have
I know-
Autumn and Topsy. Autumn, come say hello to Rodney.
Hey, Randy.
Hey, Rod.
Hi.
Yeah.
He's about to do a show.
Yeah.
How y'all doing? Sorry, my family just called in. Everyone.
Autumn.
Hey, Mom.
Look, the family's here.
Carolyn, can you send Autumn the Zoom link?
Yes.
Oh yeah, please send everybody the link.
I don't know if you're home.
Is this your sister, Rodney?
Yes, it is. David.
Oh, hello, Brandy.
This is Brandy and my mom. I think my mom's in the background. She's somewhere in the background.
Always.
Is it your mom?
No, that's his sister. The mom.
She's coming. She's not in the chat yet. Oh God.
There she is.
Hey, Mom.
You ready to bless us, son?
Aw.
You definitely don't gotta pressure me like that. But I'm excited. I am ready to put on the show.
Carolyn, yes.
Thank you.
Autumn, I'm forwarding you the Zoom link.
Well, I think I just missed that. Brandy, are you Rodney's sister?
Oh, yes. I'm Rodney's sister.
The oldest.
The oldest.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
What was Rodney like when he was little?
Tell us an embarrassing.
You can be honest, Brandy. I was you don't got a lot to. I was a knucklehead. It's okay.
You're a knucklehead.
Oh, he was good. I mean, he got into some stuff, but he's good, brother.
Brandy, you're too kind.
Just leaving the door slightly open for some other story.
Just away, right?
Got into some
We
stuff.
were all young once.
We were all young, as hard as that is to believe.
Oh man, I'm gonna grab some more water. I'll be right back.
Like, in him out. All right, Brandy, now's the time to tell us because he's gone.
Brandy, where are you?
Oh, I'm in Waldorf, Maryland.
Waldorf.
We just moved from DC to Massachusetts.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Rodney came and spent a week with us this winter, which was really fun.
Oh, yeah. He told us a little bit about it.
Yeah, it was really great.
Hopefully it was good.
Yeah.
Been away.
Stephanie Zeldin's in the house.
Yay!
She's not in a car.
Mm.
She's not in the picture. There she is.
Stephanie!
Hey, everybody's
Acting.
She's cooking. Oh, she's washing something. She's in the kitchen.
all good.
So we'll wait a few more minutes to let people join. There's Rob. And then we'll jump in. Let Rodney do his thing. Rodney's like in the green room.
Right? I feel like I'm like
Hi, Steph.
not on deck, but up next. Like
You're definitely on deck. Hi, Steph.
Hey, we're in transition, so I'm going to put myself out for just a few seconds and I'll come back.
All right.
all good.
Zoom, zoom, zoom. It's a weird thing.
I'd like it if we'd have one more person because then our rows would be balanced.
Right.
And we would be the Brady Bunch.
She knows how I feel about this.
Yeah.
Visually balanced.
Right?
Somebody else will zoom in.
We should go to speaker
Symmetry.
view for Rodney anyhow. So.
Right?
Symmetry.
Just get that ninth. We just need that ninth block. It would be
We need the ninth block.
Oh boy.
Come on, people. One
Speaker
more
view is a
person.
good idea.
What's that?
Speaker view is a good idea, so
Okay.
I can keep stuffing my face.
Right.
Do you want me to do it now, or do we all want to say hello to each other for a few
Well,
minutes?
I think the same. I like seeing everybody's faces for a sec.
I was gonna say what's funny is I just switched to gallery view and I love it.
Yeah, it's nice to see everybody's faces. Yeah. I think when we dive in, we could go to speaker view.
I'm sure there'll be a time I'll be by myself. I'm sure y'all will probably just let
This
me.
is our new friend, Sarah Blanford.
Ah,
Who's a Cape person? Who's a Weffley person?
Yes.
Sarah Blanford.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Okay.
I have an email in my inbox from you that I'm going to respond.
Emailing this morning, Sarah.
Are you David?
I'm
Yeah,
David,
hi.
yes.
I'm so happy to be with you guys tonight. I'm excited.
I'm glad you're able to join. My wife, Kathy, is eating corn.
Hi, Sarah. I missed lunch, so I'm stuffing my face right now. Sorry.
Put her on blast.
Where are you in Wellfleet?
Next door to Mark Strauss.
Oh, okay.
Lisa Haywood!
Lisa, now we need 2 more people.
In the house.
Amy sends her love. She just left, so she couldn't stay.
Oh, I miss
Karen.
Hey, Rodney.
Hey, Lisa,
Hi, Rita.
How are you?
I'm great.
Good.
Amazing lipstick as always.
Hmm?
Amazing lipstick as always.
I have to put on my lipstick. It's all I can do in this time, you know? Occasionally I get dressed, but...
Can't get manicures. Nobody cares if we're in heels.
Oh, look at your hair, David.
Yeah, I have
He's a hippie
COVID.
farmer.
I have COVID hair. I haven't had a haircut since February.
Okay, you feel like Samson.
Yeah, right. Oh, I feel stronger. I feel a little bit
Yes.
stronger. Right.
Next thing you can grow some locks.
Yeah.
Got some locks.
Man bun.
No, not
I like
ever.
it.
Not ever. There's Rob. Hi,
Hi,
Rob.
Bob.
Hello, sir.
Lisa, I miss you.
Yeah.
Back at you. I mean, you know, just working from home, we work longer and harder, and there's more to do.
There's no end to it.
This is my 5th Zoom call today, and I was
Good
like,
grief.
you know.
It's gonna be
Remember when you all took the pictures of us like this and Zoom?
Yeah.
Remember that?
You had the
Like
Brady Bunch going. Yeah.
Yes.
We were before our time.
Mm-hmm.
Or way after. Yeah.
Little did we know.
Little did we know.
Well, I think we might have a quorum, David Simpson.
Pardon me?
I think we might have a quorum.
All right. Let's jump in, and other people can join in, and all they're going to miss is me talking, so that's good. Okay, so welcome everybody. This is to Rodney's show. He's going to read poetry for us, which he's very, very good at. This is our second word. We started a series of, in the world of COVID, we started a series of online exhibitions, and we did our first one last month with Sean Cooper, who's a photographer that we work with in DC. And he
Really
presented some amazing photographs of the protests in DC, which you can still see at our website on aokarts.org/exhibitions. This is where you can also see the full show of Rodney's, where he has more poems than he will read tonight. All of them have audio, 10 poems, and all of them have audio. And he's a beautiful reader. So I really recommend that you go to the website after this show and experience the full effect. I'm glad you guys are here. We're going to be doing new shows probably every month to 6 weeks. We'll get a new show up with a new young artist, and we'll schedule an opening like we did we weren't going to do an opening, but Sean really wanted to, so now we're going to do it for everybody because it was so great.
Mm-hmm.
So you can learn more about it. For the people who aren't part of the AOK family already, you can learn more about it by exploring our website, and you can always reach out to me if you have any questions or want to learn more. But in the meantime, this is not about AOK. This is about Rodney. So I'm going to turn it over to Rodney. Take it away, sir.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate you, David. That's one of the most gracious introductions you can get during COVID, so I want to shout you out for that. My name is Rodney. Most people call me One Great Bastard. You know what I'm saying? You can call me one of those names, both of those names. It doesn't really matter. I put together this collection of poems for a reason, and before I talk about it, I would like to sing a little song that I think kind of goes hand in hand with the book. So
before you sing, can we ask, can everyone put themselves on mute so that background noise doesn't lessen the full effect of Rodney's performance?
And could I ask Rodney to speak just a little bit louder? I've got my speaker
yes,
on high. Yeah.
I got you. No, I appreciate that. Thank you. Please let me know if you can't hear me too. Please let me know if you can't hear me. I think my cousin just called in too. More family. Gang, gang. But yeah, I'm gonna do this song. Song's by the Whispers. If you know the Whispers, you're gonna know the song. We begin to rock, steady, steady rocking all night long. We begin to rock, steady, rocking till the break of dawn. Appreciate y'all letting me do that real quick, just to introduce the space. The word for this book is definitely steady, right? Oftentimes, I found myself tasked with being grounded during what felt like tornadoes, hurricanes, right? Events that aren't cataclysmic, but they feel cataclysmic because of age, experience, and where we're at in life, right? So seasons of nonstop chaos forced me to find my comfort level in the roller coaster that is life. For everyone who is called in from wherever you are, I want you to take your dominant hand, this hand, place it over your heart, take a deep breath, and repeat after me. And you can repeat whether you're muted or, whether you're there. Yesterday wanted me weak.
Yesterday.
I am stronger now. And I can do that one more time for people. Yesterday wanted me weak. I am stronger now. Good evening. These poems right here speak to these two places within myself in a very intentional way. The first space it speaks to is my heart. Without poetry, I'd be shocked if I had any emotional literacy. These are real facts. From the time my sister Amber shared her first poem with me to now, I've been writing poetry as a way to introduce me to myself. Then from there, the rest of the world has joined in on the conversation. So for those that have stayed along for this journey, I thank you for being here. This collection of poems is a testament to anyone who's still on their own journey. Rocked, bruised, oppressed, but not defeated. We know nothing glitters forever. And this is not a self-help book full of fool's gold, right? This poem and this collection of poems is not that. They are a collection of reminders that we blend chaos and beauty better than any other species. For those still seeking to shine at anything, let these poems remind you that we all must find our footing in this life. Never fool yourself into thinking it'll ever slow down. Fortify yourself for the race. And so that's the opening message that I wanted to leave you all with, right? I think that it's really important to talk about, my personal journey with writing before I talk about these specific poems, because this is my latest installation of poetry, right? So this is kind of the most polished version of my journey, of my kind of path, but it's not the only story, and so I just wanted to add that story as a way to speak to that. I'm going to read a poem for you all that speaks to my family, but before I do that, I want to speak to first the importance of family, right? I got my mom and my sister and my cousin on the call, shouts out to them. But family was instilled in me really young. I've been going down south. A lot of my family, or most of my family, is in the South. So in Georgia and South Carolina and North Carolina and places like that. And I've been taking trips down south since I was 7, right? So it's funny that I get to share this poem too, because we're actually about to take another trip a week from now, next Thursday. But I always get excited talking about family because I think without that village, I wouldn't be the person that I am today, right? I think my mom, I was always, it's funny that she's also on the call now. I always expected my mom to I was kind of shocked when my mom received my poetry with open arms. And the reason that I was shocked was because that hasn't always been my experience when I've expressed myself, when I've orated myself. So I was surprised, great surprise, when my mom encouraged me to continue to do poetry, not just when my grades were great, right? But even when my grades were terrible, she would use poetry as an incentive to get me back on track, not just for school or for a teacher, but as a person, right? Hey, I love that you're getting into your stage development. I love that you're getting into your creative development, but let's also remember why we chose this, right? It's bigger than just you. It's bigger than your ego. So for a long time, my pen and my message and my process has been catered in that, right? Has been stooped in family, steeped in lessons, and steeped in things that I've learned. Now, with that said, I'm going to share this first poem with you all. This poem is called Matter. It was also published when I went to the Cape. I want to really quickly shout that out because you all definitely put some major strings together to make that happen. And I was, one, deeply, deeply, deeply indebted for that. But two, it was cool because it was my first time I could actually physically hand someone a poem, where it's not on a computer paper, or it's not on a sheet of paper, It's cool to have that. So I want to shout that out too. But again, this poem is called Matter. This is for my second hometown. I said this poem is for my second hometown. Meta, Georgia. It's A-okay if you have to Google it. The first time I went, the name, I kept confusing it. Metal, Georgia. Middle, Georgia. Mecca, Georgia. Southern drawl had me thinking it was one or all of these. My roots to slavery start here. Family arose from plantations and sharecropping. The living was modest at best, but the people were always honest. On a good day, you'll see a tractor at a red light. A hot plate won't cost you any more than $5.99. And during the holidays, you were always surrounded by family. I'll never forget the first time I went there. I'll never forget the first time I went there. My great-grandmother had just passed. And the first thing I noticed was all the adults were sad. I was 7. Too young to understand depression. Too young to know the woman we were burying was worth the investment of love, of tears. So I joined my cousins playing tag and hide and go seek. There were so many of us, we looked like we were flash mobbing. I stopped counting at 50, ripping and running while the adults handled grown up things. The next day, it finally hit me. Why the grieving was so intense, why every auntie, uncle, cousin, brother, and sister made their way down there, why the service felt 1,000,000 seconds that day. We drove 13 hours to be a part of this. We were not the longest trip. In 2010, Meta census population was slightly over 4,000. 8 years before that, it felt like 500. I know this because they were all at Mount Zion Church on this day. I'll never forget watching the church filled with so many people. They left the doors open. I thank you, great-grandma, wealthy May Posley, for showing me how a community sends up a loved one the day she passed. It's current holiday and matter. Time doesn't change everything, not examples, paths, or memories. Meta, Georgia, you showed me all of this. It's still okay if you have to Google it. My mama's matriarch taught us all how to move, how to welcome someone with love and see them through. Now, these are lessons that I'm paying forward, thanks to you. Peace. So that's my first poem. I appreciate all this muted snaps and the muted claps. I'm gonna grab some water really quickly. Ugh. Sorry about that. But yeah, so it's kind of funny how cycles work, right? My great-grandmother, and my mom will tell you if I'm lying, but my great-grandmother was a teacher in Meadow, Georgia, I believe for over 40 years. I don't, now I want to say that's true. You know, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I believe that that's the case, you know, and her love for teaching, you know, it's funny, it's kind of shown up in me. I love working with young people. You know, I love working with people to help them develop their messages and develop their stories, you know. So some of these things pass, you know, through generations, and that poem kind of speaks to that, right? I also wanted to speak about the passion that it takes, you know, to pursue your dreams in the face of adversity, right? The time that she's teaching in is not one that's welcoming of Black women in the classroom, right? She's still setting this example. She's still setting this path and still blazing this path forward in a place that's actively trying to push her out, right? So when I speak in this poem, I'm speaking to that strength that it takes to continue on that path, to continue to leave lessons, to continue to drop gems, to continue to show up in a world that doesn't want you, or a world that treats you like it doesn't want your presence, you know? So that was that poem. I'm gonna do my next poem. This poem is untitled, but it holds a special place in my heart. It was funny when I wrote it, and all of these poems were written in the Cape. So shout out to, you know, David, Carolyn, and Kathy for, you know, helping me put this collection together. When I wrote this poem and I left it in my journal, you know how you walk away from something and you're like, I'm gonna come back to it. You know, I'll come back and name it. I kind of thought that poem was gonna be the same thing. I thought, you know, I could come back and the title would kind of form itself, or it would be something, or it would develop into something, maybe it would speak to me. And it just didn't do that, you know, honest to God. It just did not, it has not come that way, you know. That doesn't mean I love the poem any less. I actually really love this poem. It's one of my favorite pieces from the book. It just meant that, you know, the title hasn't come yet. Maybe it will. Maybe it will before it comes out. But regardless, it's one of my favorite pieces from the book, and I hope you all enjoy it as well. I'm searching for joy the way the wise men searched for Jesus. Belief in it is strong, but my eyes have never seen it. The anticipation for a sight of it would send anyone into a craze. The feeling similar to lightning cracking before the rain. You don't know when it's coming, but you know it's on the way. Don't know from which direction, but faith lights the road. Did you know? As wise as the wise men were, they did not have GPS. Only the star of Bethlehem and prayer. Well, there ain't too many stars in my city. Alexa and Siri cannot navigate you to feelings, trust me. I've asked them. Led me to walking longer than Jill Scott did, than begging my feet for forgiveness. For the parties I dragged them to trying to locate joy. For the walks on highway shoulders after a glimpse of the feeling. For the sneaking and the creeping as the sun starts peaking. Imagine it took these men 24 years to find Jesus. Would they have continued searching? How strong your faith must be to continue looking. Well, this is where I am on my journey. The only difference is I am no longer looking externally. Thank you all very much. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I think with that poem specifically, and also please, if you all have questions, I would love to answer them after I do this spiel really quickly on this poem. So please, if you have questions, please save them. Please save them. I would love to answer them. But what I was gonna say is that we live in an era right now of self-gratification, right? It's like heavy, where Instagram sometimes validates you instantly. Sometimes it's Twitter, right? Sometimes people want to be paid as soon as they put something out. Sometimes people want to be commissioned for things, right? So we live in an era of instant gratification. And I think what that poem is speaking to, at least for me, is trying to find what my own joy looks like, right? Like not what people tell you joy means or what happiness brings, right? Not what, you know, other people have projected on me, but what is my own happiness? What is my own joy? And just being honest with myself in terms of saying, like, I haven't thought about it like that, you know? And it was the moment, I'll never forget it. I was standing, I have another poem about the Atlantic, and that and this collection of poems. But it wasn't until I was standing with my bare feet in the Atlantic Ocean, you know, that I felt that, you know, because it was like, I'm in this place, and I speak about it in the poem, where the Atlantic Ocean has been used, you know, for a lot of things, a lot of good, a lot of ugly, you know what I'm saying? But here I am at this ocean, carefree, you know what I'm saying, hair swinging, you know what I'm saying, relaxing, not having a care in the world. You know, that was joy for me. You know, it wasn't until I'm thousands of miles outside of DC, you know, I'm thinking, okay, you know, maybe finances can make me happy, right? Or maybe, you know, certain things can make me happy. Maybe having certain possessions can make me happy. But standing at this ocean, you know what I'm saying, barefoot, listening to music, it was so calming, you know. And it wasn't like it was a sunny day, you know, it's like 50, maybe 60 degrees outside. So it's a little chilly, right? But, you know, to me, I was fine there, you know. And I think, you know, one thing that poem is really trying to encourage as well is, you know, we have to start thinking about what joy is for us. We have to start defining that for ourselves, you know. I think for too long we've allowed other people, whether it's politicians, whether it's, you know, government entities, we've allowed these things to tell us what makes us happy instead of, you know, defining it for ourselves. So I would love to offer that. And that poem is an offering of that. I hope you all enjoyed what I had to share. I'm looking forward to answering everybody's questions. So please, you know, I see some stuff has been popping off in the chat, so I want to acknowledge that, but please come with questions. Please also view, I don't know if the collection of poems has been shared with you all yet, but if we could put it in the chat, that'd be awesome. Just so they can see some of it as it's going up, that'd be cool. But thank you all. I appreciate it a lot.
I don't really have a question, but I just want to compliment you, Rodney, on that the painting that you made with your words, particularly in that first poem. I just was there.
Oh, wow.
You know, I mean
yeah.
You know, that's a very difficult thing to do, and it didn't feel like a poem. It felt like I was walking into a picture.
Yeah, and I really wanted it to feel like a memory, you know, like a memory that everybody could grab, you know what I'm saying? Because as a kid, taking it in, it was like Narnia, you know, it's like a magic land to me, you know. But I kind of wanted to paint this image that you know you could grab a piece of or grab tangibly. So I appreciate that.
Rodney, you said you wrote all these poems here in this collection that you shared.
Mm-hmm.
In the months since you've been back and in COVID, how has that affected your writing?
Man,
like how does that all go together?
In all honesty, you know, I've been using some of these poems as like, you know, reminders that I can tap into certain places or tap into certain pieces of inspiration. Because I've been following the news. My thumbs have been on, you know, social media and stuff. So I've been trying to stay as close to the rioting and the protesting as possible. So that's had such an impact on, you know, on me personally. I actually had to take a break from writing, you know, just to figure out, you know, how I was feeling. Personally, in all honesty, you know, you see the same thing over and over and over again without any progression on the issue, you know. And it's allowed me to look at my pen with a much, and, you know, even when I'm sharing written poems now, it makes me look at it with such a reverence, you know, because I tell people all the time, you know, I try to share as much as I can in the time that I can. You know, I don't know how much time I'm gonna have to share with you all. You know, I don't know how much time, you know, we get, you know. So I want to share as much and pour as much into my craft as possible, you know. But I think it's been, in the past couple months specifically, it's been really hard. You know, I've been doing a lot more shorter poems, just thoughts, just jotted like, I'll come back to this, I'll write this later. Because it's just been, for me personally, a lot of tangible anger, seeing social media and a lot of it and all that stuff. It's just been leaving me tangibly angry. And I can't, I had to make a decision, and my partner, shout out to Aisha. She's helping me come to this realization that, like, sometimes things that you take in are just too much. You might not think it, at the time, you might not think that it's too much, but if you put down your phone and you now have a quicker trigger than you did when you picked it up, then it's had an impact on you, right? If you see a post or you see a comment and all of a sudden you're now dejected from reading that, that's had an impact on you. You know what I'm saying? And so I just had to take that lesson, and I'm slowly getting back into things. Like I also do music. I don't know if everybody knows that, but I also do music. So the music has been largely unaffected, but my poetry, like my intricate side, where I'm like, okay, I want to tie a ribbon around this message. It's been hard to tie that ribbon around the message, if that makes sense. But I'm still writing. I promise y'all I won't stop. I can't stop, but it's just been hard.
Yeah, maybe there doesn't have to be a ribbon.
Mm-hmm. That part. I've been taking a lot of restraints off my writing too this year. Like a lot of I think in the past where it's like I've been trying to paint a positive message or a positive spin on my experience. Whereas this year, and when I went to the Cape as well, it's been a lot of just say what it is, just leave it where it is, metaphors, wordplay, similes, of course, add those in there as you see fit, but just leave the message, and let people take whatever they want to take from it.
Yeah.
Respect to the chat. I see people still posting in the chat. Shout out to Victor too. I don't know if I introduced Victor to everybody, but Victor's a good friend of mine.
Nice.
Shout out to Vic. But yes, please come on. I love questions. Bring them. I'm ready for them.
I'll ask one. Rodney, you and I have been spending a lot of time talking about this this show and about your process. And one of the things that we talked about yesterday that I thought was really interesting was this idea of suffering over certain words.
Oh my God, yes.
So
oh man.
When you look like Metter, what were the things that you struggled over?
With Metter specifically, I didn't want to feel like I was doing the memory injustice, right? Like the memory is such a profound memory in my life. Like it's one of my earliest memories, and I didn't want the words to not match the epicness of this story, right? I wanted it to be just as epic in my head as it was on paper, and vice versa. I wanted it to be read and orated with the same type of intensity that I still remember it by, And that's not to say that I remember every detail, right? It's been 19 years. It's been about 18, 19 years since I was 7, right? But there are still some things that stick out, like Mount Zion Church, the sign in front of the road, right? So you can see the church, right? That's one of the things I'll never forget, looking out and seeing the doors wide open. And I talk about that in the poem, seeing people still trying to get in, like people just pouring, like people literally standing at the door just to hear the service. I'll never forget stuff like that. And it was hot. It's not like it's cool. This is Georgia in the summertime, So when I was writing the message and when I was writing the words, I was struggling because with me, writing either comes really quickly or not at all, right? And with these words, it was coming together really quickly. Like the message was coming together quickly. But when I first put it together, it was kind of scramble things. Because again, I'm writing it as I'm memorizing it. So it's like, okay, I remember the doors. I remember the tractor. And I kind of speak to certain landmarks in the piece as well. So it's like, I remember the tractor when I went down there. And that's something you might still see, tractors at the red light. I love it. But I'm thinking, okay, what can I convey, right, that ultimately gets this message of sincere rural area, right? What can I do to get that across? And so once I had what I wanted to say down pat. From there, it was just making sure it looked good, making sure it feels good on the page, feels good on the tongue and things of that nature. But like I was saying yesterday, and I'll share it with everybody too, I agonize over poems. Sometimes a poem will come really quickly. I think the longest poem in there to write was Tired of, no, it wasn't Tired of Rain. That was actually one of the first pieces. It was the Face to Face poem. I wrote a poem to the Atlantic Ocean. I was describing this earlier, and it was so hard finding the words that didn't feel like I was attacking it, right? Because I don't think we can charge places with other people's intentions. And when I first wrote that poem, man, it was so angry. It was so volatile. It was just like, curse you, water, right? Which is crazy. You can't, it's a body of water. It didn't ask to be used the way that it was used. It didn't ask to be purposed the way that it was purposed, So I had to rewrite it from a controlled state, I wasn't in control when I first wrote it. And so when I came back to it and I touched it up, it took me about 3 or 4 times of looking at it and being like, okay, I'm getting somewhere. Okay, I'm getting somewhere. Okay, it's done. It took me a while to get to those places, but eventually I got there. And it's if you look at it in terms of count, it's one of the shorter poems in there. But it's just, it was just one of those poems where the words meant more. Each word specifically meant more to me than, the structure kind of. Still taking questions though. Still want to hear from you.
So Rodney, when did you write your first poem, and when did you realize this was the direction you wanted to go in as an artist?
No, for sure. So I wrote my first poem in my sophomore year of high school. I had been reading a lot of poetry, and I had been experimenting with poetry, but I had never, kind of put together a fully complete thought until that time. The reason I was experimenting with it though, and I think this is really important to highlight as well, is because my sister Amber has shared a poem with me, and it's front to back, loose leaf sheet of paper. I'm saying 2 pages, I'm saying handwritten words. And it's just full of words, and when she did that, it inspired me to want to do something like that. So I knew I wanted to write. I just didn't think I could do it. I had never had anybody tell me, hey, I believe in your message. Hey, I believe in you. And my English teacher, my 10th grade year, she saw that I would write for my classwork assignments. And she told me 2 things. She told me, 1, 11th grade English, you're having me. I don't care what I got to do to tell these guidance counselors, but I'm taking you under my wing, right? The second thing was, she told me, you're going to have to join the poetry club. Like, if I'm going to do that for you, right? And at the time, my English grade was not that well. Like, it wasn't that good. So my grades in general weren't that good. So I was like, if you're going to give me a better grade than my current setup, so please do that. And we made that deal. And since then, she had been encouraging me to come every week. And so I did, but I wouldn't share. So I come to the poetry club, I write, and I just sit there. I listen to everybody get up and leave. And after a month of doing that, she kind of put me on the spot in my classroom, not in the poetry club, but she put me on the spot in the classroom and was like, this kid joined the poetry club, he's doing things, but he's really shy. So I'm gonna put him out there. And when I read the poem, it was really well received. And I was not expecting that. Like, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna, kind of BS. I'm gonna leave it up there, let people interpret it how they will. And, I had classmates, adults. There were certain adults who had come into the classroom, to hear the poem. That was the first time where I was like, okay, maybe my words mean something, And it was really cool because that didn't come with immediate success, like I tried out for my high school slam team later on that year and I didn't make it. Like, they only took 4 people and I placed 5th, right? So I could have kicked the rocks. I could have been like, I hate it. I don't want to come back. I didn't do that. I loved it so much. And I found myself falling in love with it more. The more I got into it, the more I read, the Robert Frost, the Langston Hughes, people of both sides. I wanted a full experience in poetry. And I was blessed to have a teacher that was patient enough to walk me through that. And then, push me to be something at it. You know,
You
after
still
that,
talk to that teacher?
I do. You know what's funny? I need to connect with her. I have not talked to her since I graduated.
Oh, you need to send her the link to. You do.
She would love this. I think she really
it.
would. I think she really would love this, man, because I don't even think she realizes how much of an impact, you know, her forcing me to do that stuff actually had on me.
You need to tell her.
Yeah, you're right. No, you're definitely right. You're definitely right. And I think if she hadn't done that, you know, I wouldn't be, you know, obviously, you know, sharing my poetry with you all, but more importantly, blessed to have touched the stages, you know, that I touched. You know, I mean, shortly after that, you know, I got to compete for the DC. I got to compete first for my high school slam team my senior year I got on, and then for the DCU slam team year after that. So, you know, I just got blessed to be given accessibility to a lot of stages after, you know, kind of finding myself. I'll say this, though. What's funny is the first poem that I got noticed was not the first poem that I had success with, right? So that poem that I told you all about in my classroom was the first one that I got noticed. The first poem that got any accolades or recognition was actually a poem I wrote about a friend of mine, a friend of mine in middle school who had been self-harming. And that poem, it still means the world to me because, you know, it's a poem that I think, I wish I had saved it on one of my active Google Drives so I could give you the original composition. But that poem was the first poem that I think people saw, and I kind of saw myself that I could be poetic, right? That I could put this foot forward in terms of an extended metaphor. Because that entire poem is about how she would use her body to showcase her pain, right? As an artist, like most artists do. Like most artists use easels, use canvases. The poem was talking about that. And I think it's a poem and it's a message. Again, it took me a really long time. It took me about a year to write that poem. I've gotten much better in terms of like my response time with poems and getting them out to people. But it took me a good year to get that poem because I didn't want to write it in a way that felt cheesy or that felt inauthentic to her experience or my message. You know, I just wanted to, you know, leave it to people. And again, that push, I would encourage you all, if you all have somebody in your community that you see wants to be great at anything, just push them. A little nudge. It doesn't have to be a big nudge, just a little nudge, but it will push them in the right direction to want to figure it out for themselves. You showing an interest in them figuring it out will make them want to figure it out 10 times faster, you know? So I would encourage that as well, but my teacher definitely encouraged that. I thank you for asking me that too, because now I got to share this with her. Like,
I'm going to remind you.
You're giving me some homework, right?
So, what are the opportunities to be public on spoken word kinds of things, on the work that you're doing, and telling the stories that you're telling? Are there opportunities today during COVID for you to be able to express yourself publicly?
For sure. So there are not as many available right now. There's been a lot. What's been happening is a lot more stuff like this, like a lot more virtual, like teachings and things of that nature. I've been excited. It's kind of a, you know, this COVID stuff has kind of been a double-edged sword because on one hand, you know, I've been happy to get time to myself, and you know, kind of recuperate and refocus my lessons and my materials because I don't know if I'm gonna share this with everybody on the call. I also do mentoring work and teaching. So I also, you know, I use my writing workshops and I'll develop some of my own poetry workshops to teach kids social emotional literacy, right? It's one of the things that I think is highly needed and missing in schools. But because of COVID-19 and because of, you know, loss of funding, things of that nature, no longer needing somebody to come into a space, right, when nobody shows up, I've lost all streams in all revenue forms. So I've literally just been putting out submissions. Like there are poetry submissions online that I've been going on actively that I've been, you know, trying to win and trying to get to. Honestly, in terms of being an artist right now, I think selling books is probably the best way to be a public poet right now. because, you know, books, even though they live on shelves, you can also get them online. You can get an ebook, you know, you can make money from that streams of income from that. But it's not a whole lot going on for me right now, man. You know, I'm gonna be honest, as a teaching artist, again, this is my work, you know, like connecting with people, you know, trying to trade experiences and trade messages. You know, this is my life. But because of the physical, you know, the lack of physical contact, right now for me personally, it's just been a lot of preparing for when it does open back up, you know, putting out some stuff. I've been doing some virtual shows, trying to get people to be accountable, you know, kind of have conversations about community accountability. But outside of that, you know, I've just been trying to sharpen my edge, you know. But it is tough. I will say that it's definitely tough. Just not knowing when, you know, kind of things will go back to normal. I know DC has announced that they're going all virtual until November, but when they return from the non-virtual stuff, you know, what does it look like, you know? So that's really the difficult part. But, you know, I'm surviving, you know, keeping my head up. More work has been put out. You know, I've been trying to do as many appearances as possible. I have a show coming up at Velvet Lounge in September. I did a Friends podcast recently, so I've just been trying to keep myself active as much as possible. You know? I see your question. Give me 1 second. I have not thought about that. And what's funny is my friend literally just introduced me to his podcast last week. That episode just came out where I was on with 2 other friends. So I would love to explore. I don't know how people make money on podcasts. Like I love podcasting. Like I love talking, you know what I'm saying? I love shooting topics. I love shooting conversation. If I could be shown, and if, you know what I'm saying, anybody else is down to show me how to make money off of my podcasting, I would love to do that, you know, because I think it is something that I would love to explore. You know, I love, again, y'all know me, I love reading stories. I love performing. So any way that I could do that during this time, you know, I'm looking forward to doing it. And I'm definitely not rushing to get outside, you know, with this stuff in the air. So
you should talk to Carolyn. She has a podcast. She's done a podcast herself, so she has some.
She knows.
Some experience there. So I think it'd be great if we wrapped up. Rodney, would you read that poem that you've referenced several times about the Atlantic? And we could.
Oh yeah, sure.
Close up.
Sure.
I think, you know, I don't know. I don't want to speak for anybody else, but I didn't get quite enough poetry. I'd like to hear one more.
Listen, I would love to meet everybody's poetry quota, man. You know what I'm saying? I know in a time of ignorance, you know, we need to trade some powerful ideas. So I'm down for that. I'm definitely down for that. All right. This poem, really quickly before I share it, this poem, it's called Face to Face. Obviously, you all know the background behind it. Yeah, just bear with me. It's written in, I don't know if you all have read Homer's type of writing from Greek mythology, things of that nature. But it's written in that type of epic style writing. The water feels like champagne chains. As beautiful as it is intoxicating, it's ready to pull you in for a voyage or a passage. It's so cold, it'll shake your lineage. Its waves are a siren. So pure, it's seductive. So pure, you get swayed in its hue. So pure, you forget as you flock to its blue. There's blood and its echoes, bones beneath its call. Some from before we were men and women at all of the souls you'll feel in your souls. It is so cold, it'll hollow your body. It is so cold, it'll hollow your body. You start to understand the stories, how beautiful beings could be rendered lifeless by its floods. The stories do not do it justice. These thoughts flood me the first time I meet the Atlantic, as somber as it is chilling, as terrifying as it is majestic, as refreshing as it is frightening. How funny life is that relief can wash over me of all places here. That pain from centuries before has yet to be cleared. High Atlantic, you render socks and other protections useless. Your code is only matched by your transparency. You never asked to house so many bodies. I'm sorry someone's forefathers mistook your beauty for business opportunity. How many languages have been lost in your depths? How many bodies have you accompanied to their maiden voyage? How many knew it'd be their last trip? I want some answers because none of it makes sense. Can someone clear this energy? Your aching is as heavy as your serenity. I take none of it for granted. I let these thoughts flood me the first time I meet the Atlantic. Thank you all very much. And listen, thank you all for listening, man. I know it's hard to mute yourself in this era, man. It's a time of a lot of loud noises, you know what I'm saying? A lot of loud ratchetry, you know what I'm saying? I appreciate y'all rocking with me.
Rodney, I'm glad you read that last poem, and that was really wonderful. Can we all have a round of applause for Rodney for 20 times?
Thank y'all so much. Thank y'all so much. And please, David, if I can say one thing really quickly, please tell everybody about the website unveiling, right? You know, even if it's somebody, you know, you don't think they can directly contribute to it, you know, if you think they need the words, if you think they need the message, if you know a school teacher, you know what I'm saying, that might want to talk about social emotional literacy in a cool way, please share that with them. You know, this is not a resource I want to keep.
Hey, Rodney, I'd like to give a shout out to your mom who raised you. I see her.
Right, mom in the back, right? Shout out, mom.
Good job, mom. Mwah.
He's the greatest.
Also, shout out to Carolyn and our web designers.
Yes, Stacy, please.
For putting all the technical stuff together for the website exhibition. And again, it's aokarts.org/exhibitions. You can find Rodney's show with all 10 poems. And also Sean's show is still up there also. You can look at his.
And it looks amazing. Please also look at that show too. It looks incredible.
Thank you, Rodney. You're
Love you,
awesome.
Rodney.
So inspiring.
I love y'all.
Thank you all for joining. Rodney, your last words?
I was just gonna say, please look at it. Please tell me what you think. I love y'all.
Awesome.
Love you, number one.
See you next
See everybody's
time.
face.
Bye, Rodney.
Love you, Rodney. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you for
Bye,
sharing.
everyone.
Peace.
Bye, Rodney. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Peace, y'all. Thank you, Sarah.
Right here. Right here. Right there. I got it. All this playing around with us.
They're the
Sarah. Hi, Sarah. All right.